Surprised that this band has no steam.
Well, I still think it's going to get banned.
Oh, you do?
With respect to Richmond, yeah, just not right now. So if you remember last year, at the first iteration, they decided not of these meetings, they decided not to vote on it because they didn't have enough votes. So they tabled it until later in the offseason, and then they brought it, and they almost got it passed, or almost got it banned, I should say. I think at this, if the commissioner didn't like it before, and now you had on a lot of the most high-profile games of the year, the announcing crew and, our officiating experts commiserating about not that it's an unfair advantage for Philadelphia, not my complaint, which is it is aesthetically displeasing, but that you can't officiate it properly.
Yeah.
I don't think it has staying power, and the fact that the team that was the biggest proponent of it, obviously, Philadelphia, it stopped. I don't know how tied they are to it because it wasn't that effective for them. So, like, if you look at their numbers on QB sneaks the previous 3 years to last year, and it's a little misleading when it says 8th best because one of the reasons that it doesn't say, first best is because they would sometimes do a tush push to set up a tush push.
Yeah.
It'd be 3rd and 2, and they would do it not even necessarily thinking they've got to get it, knowing they could get it on the next play. And so I just think the issues with the false starts brew and then the later issue of was that a fumble, was his progress dead, was it not, is enough that I still think that come next season, it is not going to be a part of our football lives.
Yeah, look, I'm not as confident as you. I don't really care one way or the other. I think the reason for me to ban it is not because of the Eagles' dominance in it. I don't like that idea. It's obviously, it looks like it'd be a safety, risk, but it's not.
Yeah.
The reason, though, to ban it for me is it's tough to officiate. And I do think as the season went on, they got better at officiating it. You even saw the Eagles call for some false starts, as the season went on. I think that's the reason they weren't as dominant in it. So, the Eagles, I think with their offensive line not being as good last year, Jalen Hurts just getting a little bit older, and then the officiating of it where sometimes those were false starts, I think that lessened the impact for them. And now teams aren't that concerned about it. It does, to me, Nick, show that the concern was they're too dominant. They're too good at it.
Yes.
We can't stop them from doing it, so we want to ban it. And now that this year they weren't that good at it, nobody seems to care. So
that's precisely what this entire controversy boils down to. There's less momentum behind the criticism now simply because the Philadelphia Eagles didn't win it all this year. That's the only reason the narrative has shifted. Remember when Nick Wright was having a weekly meltdown about it? Every single week, without fail, he was crying and complaining about the tush push. But interestingly, he wasn't crying and complaining when the Buffalo Bills ran the exact same play. He wasn't upset when the Seattle Seahawks did it. The Pittsburgh Steelers? Silence. The Baltimore Ravens? Nothing. All these other organizations utilized similar concepts, and somehow it was only an issue when the Eagles executed it. Sean McDermott will say, it's a safety risk, but we're going to have Josh Allen do it 5 times a game anyway. Okay. The broadcast crews, the television analysts watching these games unfold, they seemingly only expressed outrage when the Philadelphia Eagles ran the play. Again, they didn't complain when the Ravens did it. When the Steelers ran their version, the commentary was, oh, look at Russell Wilson standing upright. That's just what he does. When Josh Allen plowed forward for 5 yards, the reaction was, can you believe that? What a powerful quarterback. But when the Eagles executed the same concept, suddenly it was, this has to be banned immediately. This isn't right. Good heavens, it's ruining the integrity of football. That's all anyone cared about, the Philadelphia Eagles. The refrain was always, it's so hard to officiate. It's impossible to determine whether it's a legal play. And now you're suggesting that the play wasn't as effective for the Eagles recently because they got tagged for penalties in years past? Let's address that. I recall Lane Johnson being called for a false start in a playoff game. I think it was against the Los Angeles Rams, if my memory serves me correctly. This would have been the year before they ultimately won the Super Bowl. I'm almost positive it was Lane Johnson. I'm not entirely certain it was indeed a playoff game, but I feel like it was because I remember there was snow on the field. I distinctly remember thinking, guys, you can't run the tush push here. The field is too slippery. You can't get the necessary traction. I believe that's accurate, but feel free to correct me if I'm misremembering. So let's not pretend the Eagles were simply getting away with everything until officials finally started calling penalties and suddenly they struggled. No. The reality is simpler. The offensive line underperformed. Players were banged up across the board. The unit wasn't good enough. They frequently found themselves facing 3rd and long and 4th and long situations, rather than the short yardage scenarios where the tush push thrives. They weren't in position to utilize their most effective weapon because they couldn't stay ahead of the chains. It's always fascinating how the conversation shifts depending on which team is involved. The way the Philadelphia Eagles are discussed in media circles genuinely needs to be studied. I know that phrase has become something of a cliche these days. So-and-so needs to be studied. It's incredibly overused. But in this case, it genuinely applies. And I'm not going to rehash my entire weekend rant, but let me touch on a key point. I always push back when fans claim, the media hates us. Every fan base says this. Lions fans feel it, Chiefs fans feel it. Every organization's supporters believe the media doubts them, that nobody appreciates their team. And Eagles fans say it too. But here's the thing. The discussion surrounding Philadelphia is always a little bit weird. Again, was anyone complaining that Josh Allen's quarterback sneak variations were unfair? Did anyone demand a rule change? Josh Allen literally rumbled approximately 10 yards for a touchdown, or something close to it, in a playoff game. Did anyone declare, this is terrible for football? We cannot allow this? No. Silence. And that occurred in a competitive game, by the way, against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But the Eagles run the tush push in an NFC championship game where they're absolutely demolishing the Washington Commanders, hanging 55 points on the scoreboard, and suddenly the narrative becomes, we cannot have this. This is terrible for the sport. What? Do you see what's happening on the field? Do you recognize that they are completely dominating this opponent in every conceivable way, and you think the story should be a single short yardage play? You're actively trying to manufacture controversy. Did you make it about the quarterback sneak when the Buffalo Bills beat the Jaguars in a crucial moment? They ran the play multiple times in high-leverage situations. Did anyone say, folks, what are we doing here? This is a massive moment in this game, and they're running a quarterback sneak. Nobody said that about Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Nobody. But the Philadelphia Eagles run the tush push when they're up 55 to whatever the final score was. Absolute pure domination, where the defense is forcing turnover after turnover, where Jalen Hurts is playing out of his mind, throwing absolute darts all over the field, where A.J. Brown is feasting, where Saquon Barkley is feasting, where Devonta Smith is feasting. And the conversation still circles back to the tush push. They ran the play approximately once in the Super Bowl, and all the cameras could focus on was Chris Jones on the sideline reacting. Get out of here with this nonsense. Just absolute, utter nonsense. Those are simply my perspectives on the matter. I'm genuinely interested in hearing your thoughts. What's your assessment of this entire tush-push controversy and the Philadelphia Eagles? Share your opinions in the comments below. I read every single response, whether you agree with my analysis or you're ready to challenge it. Either way, let's generate some meaningful discussion. Let's engage in some spirited debates. But most importantly, let's keep it enjoyable. And please, if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. We're cultivating an incredible community here, and I genuinely value having you as part of it. My goal is to build something that fosters genuine connection, something we're all truly excited to contribute to. I believe we're making substantial progress toward that vision. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It significantly enhances visibility and supports the algorithm. Thank you so much for your continued support. I'll see you in the next one.